Shalom, Most High in Christ bless. This is your brother Captain Messiah with another quick session class. All right, want to welcome each and every one of you to the TOC quick session class. I'm your brother Captain Messiah, and let's get it right in, man. Let's get it in immediately. Okay, this evening's topic is Easter Pagan? So I want to welcome each and every one of you. I want to say happy Sabbath to those keeping the Sabbath from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. I just want to say happy Sabbath to each and every one of you. It's my pleasure. It's my honor, all right, to be with you this evening. Just to go through a couple quick, precepts. We're going to see if paganism has anything to do with Easter, and if Easter has anything to do with paganism. All right. So happy Sabbath once again. And before we get started, we want to give all praises, all honor, all glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, HaMashiach, Yahweh Shai. That's all praises due to the Most High in the name of his only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly refers to as Jesus Christ. His name is Yahweh Shai in the Hebrew. So let's just get into it. Easter, is it pagan? Let's go through the actual historical documents to see if history backs up and validates whether or not Easter is pagan. All right, so let me just pull this up on the screen really quickly. Everybody, you can let me know if you can see this. Then again, not sure if you can see it. Okay. Hopefully now you can see it. Okay. Let me know if you can see this. All right. If you can't see it, let me know. Just say Cap, I can't see it. Before I get started, or before I go any further, let me ask you guys if you can hear my voice clearly. All right. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear my voice clearly. All right. Good. So hopefully everyone can hear my voice loud and clear. Hopefully, I'm hoping so. All right. So if you can hear me clearly, put a 1 in the chat. All right. If not, then again, you could indicate if you can't hear. All right. So hopefully everyone can hear. Alrighty, cool. So I'm guessing that I do not have any sound issues. All right. So with that being said, let's just get straight into it, man. Easter. Now, can we find this in the Bible? Let's find out. Let's find out what the Bible actually says. Okay, so we're on history.com. Okay, history.com. And one of these topics is the history of Easter. Now, it says here, why is Easter called Easter? Well, let's see. Now, it says, St. Bede the Venerable, the 6th century author, historia, Ecclesiasta Gentis Angolorum, it says that the word Easter, all right, the word Easter actually comes from Eoster or Eostre, the Anglo-Saxon goddess of spring and fertility. So that's the first thing we have to understand. The word Easter comes from the Anglo-Saxon word, right? The Anglo-Saxon word of the Anglo-Saxon goddess of spring and fertility, and the Anglo-Saxon goddess is Eoster or Eostre. Okay, so let's just get that established early. Easter comes from Eoster or Eostre, which is the goddess of spring and fertility. Let's read on. Now it says, other historians maintain Easter derives from a Latin phrase that's plural for alba or dawn. Okay? So, they have Latin origins and there's Anglo-Saxon origins, right? Which is, of course, Latin is a precursor to the English language. Now, it says here, despite its significance as a Christian holy day, many of the traditions and symbols that play a key role in Easter observances actually have roots in pagan celebrations. All right? So Easter actually has pagan origins, pagan roots. This is what everybody has to understand. Because earlier, just up here, we just read what? It says it comes from the Anglo-Saxon word. The word Easter, look at it right here. It comes from the Anglo-Saxon word. It says, look at it right here. It says Eoster, okay? Which is what? The goddess of fertility. You understand that? The goddess of fertility. So look at right here. It says Eoster or Eostre. Eostre. You understand that? That's the goddess of fertility. Good. So you must understand this early, that Easter has pagan traditions. No. Going on further, it says religious tradition of Easter. Now it says the resurrection of Jesus, as described in the New Testament of the Bible, is essentially the foundation upon which the Christian religions are built. Hence, Easter is a very significant date on the Christian calendar. Well, watch this. It says, according to the New Testament, Jesus was arrested by the Roman authorities essentially because he claimed to be the Son of God. Although historians question this motive, with some saying that the Romans may have viewed him as a threat to the empire. Let's read on. He was sentenced to death by Pontius Pilate, the Roman prefect in the province of Judea, from 26 to 36 AD. Jesus' death by crucifixion marked the Christian holiday, Good Friday. Now, understand this. Christians tried to superimpose the pagan origin, or the Anglo-Saxon tradition of Easter with Jesus. But here's the thing. The Romans were who? The Romans were Edomites, right? In the year 320 AD, the Romans, they took over the Bible and they projected their Roman traditions into the Bible. So going into understanding Easter, you're going to have to understand that Christ has nothing to do with Easter, because we just set the predisposition that Easter came from an Anglo-Saxon tradition of what? A pagan deity called Easter. Understand that? Good. Now, Christians try to merge those two things together, as they always do, as they always try to do. Right? Good. Let's read on. It says Easter and Christianity. Now, it's amazing how they separated both, because guess what? Easter, right, and Christianity, they try to merge these two things. Okay? Now watch this. It says Passover and Easter. It says notably Easter is also associated with the Jewish holiday of Passover. So now they try to associate it with Passover. It has nothing to do with Passover, because Easter is not mentioned in the Bible as a high holy day. Everybody has to understand this now. Understand this early. Okay, so all this happy Easter, that's not in the Bible. This is what you have to understand. Because look now, it's showing you the differentiation. It says Passover and Easter, right? It says notably Easter is also associated. Mind you, it says associated, meaning that they're not the same thing. Although it's associated with it, they're not the same thing, because Easter, they try to project what? White Jesus into there, right? Because all the materialistic surrounding Easter in the Christian church is projecting what? A white Jesus. When we know from the scriptures, Christ, whose name is Yahweh in the Hebrew, he's a dark-skinned man. He's a black man, according to the scriptures. You understand that? Good. So it says it's associated with the Jewish holiday. And guess what? It's not associated with a Jewish holiday. The Jews kept Passover, not the Jewish. You understand? Jewish persons are the persons who try to convert to our traditions, our forefathers' traditions. The Edomites who call themselves Jewish people, they're not the real Jews. Okay? Our forefathers, the Negroes, those are the real Jews. Those are the real Israelites that the Bible speak of, not the Jewish white people. They're not the real Israelites. You understand that? Good. So let's read on. Let's read on. So it says, let's come down. It says the Last Supper was essentially a Passover feast. However, the New Testament describes it as being given new significance by Jesus. He identified the matzah or the bread he shared with his 12 apostles and his body, and the cup of wine they drank as his blood. So Christians try to conflate those two things. But here's the thing. Easter has nothing to do with Passover. Passover is something completely different. When you want to read about Passover, you read Exodus chapter 12. You understand that? Let's come down. Okay. Easter traditions. It says in Western Christianity. Now, no, it says in Western Christianity, right? Including Roman Catholicism. Now, when you understand religion, you understand that the Romans were the ones who were particularly responsible for doing what? Spreading their doctrine of Roman traditions. So that's why it says in Western Christianity. So Christianity is a religion that came from the Roman Catholics. Do you understand that? So the Roman Catholic traditions of Easter, that have nothing to do with what the Bible calls Passover, although they try to celebrate them around the same time. You understand that? So it says in Western Christianity, including Roman Catholicism and Protestant denominations, the period prior to Easter holds special significance. It says the period of fasting and penitence is called Lent. Now, Lent ain't in the Bible. That came from the Roman Catholics again. You understand that? Good. So now look at this. We mentioned this last week at the new moon. Look what the Romans celebrate. It says the Sunday immediately prior to Easter is called Palm Sunday. That's not in the Bible. You're not going to find no Palm Sunday. The Romans were the ones who declared Palm Sunday to be a thing. That's not a thing in the Bible. Okay? It's not a thing in the Bible. As a matter of fact, let me show you guys where they got Palm Sunday from. All right? Let me show y'all where they got Palm Sunday from. Look at this. Let's go to the book of Matthew chapter 26, right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 26 and let's start from verse 64. Watch this. Matthew 26 and verse 64. Look at this. This is where they get Palm Sunday from. Look at this. Let's read. Let us read this. Look at this. Matthew 24 and verse 64 says, Jesus saith unto him, Thou hast said, nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. Let's read on. Verse 65. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, He hath spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy. Let's read on. Verse 66 says, What think ye? They answered and said, He is guilty of death. So they're talking about Yahushua being guilty of death, right? Watch this. Verse 67. It says, Then did they spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands. Right? Okay. Wait, this was the one I wanted? I don't think this was the one I wanted. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. One second, family. One second. Just back checking to make sure that's the actual scripture I wanted. No, it's actually John 12, right? So Salakia, my bad for that. I know something was looking kind of off. All right. So let's read this instead. Let's go to John chapter 12, and let's start from verse 10. This is where they get Palm Sunday from. Okay, John 12 and 10. It says, but the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death. Let's read on. It says, verse 11, because that by reason of him, many of the Jews went away and believed on Jesus. Let's read on. Verse 12. On the next day, much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem, this is talking about what? Passover feast, right? Look at this. Passover feast. Look at this. They took branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him and cried, Hosanna! Blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. So they took this, the Romans took this verse, John 12 and 13, and they read where they took branches of palm trees when they went forth to meet Yahushai, right? And they cried, Hosanna, blessed is the King of Israel. So they took that and they said, you know what? We're going to make a tradition out of this and we're going to call it Palm Sunday. Aha. You see where we get these traditions from? But the thing is, here's what Yahushai told them. Look at this. Let's read Matthew 15 and verse 3, right? Matthew 15 and verse 3 says, but he answered and said unto them, why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition? So the Romans kept traditions by making a whole tradition out of this John 12 and 13, right? And they call this Palm Sunday because, they took branches of palm trees and they went to meet Yahushai and they made a whole tradition. So Yahushai always was, pressing these Pharisees and these Sadducees and these scribes and asking them straight up, why are you transgressing God's commandments? Why are you violating God's commandments? Why are you doing your own traditions instead of God's commandments? That's what he always was asking them, because guess what? They didn't really care about doing the commandments. They care about their own traditions. That's why the Romans later on made a whole tradition called Palm Sunday, just by going inside the Bible. And a lot of people feel as though you can just go inside the Bible and create a tradition based off of something that they see inside the scripts. You cannot do that unless it's a high holy day. The Most High said only his high holy days are to be celebrated. Only the things that he has listed in the word as a high holy day can be celebrated. So we cannot just go off and make up our own traditions. Do you understand that? Because the Most High calls that the tradition of men. You understand that? The tradition of men. You understand? Good, because let's read Mark 7 and verse 13 really quickly. Mark 7 and 13 says, let's read this. It says, Mark 7 and 13, making the word of God of none effect through your tradition, which ye have delivered, and many, he says, and many such things, right? Many such like things do ye. So Yahushua was letting them know straight up, not only that y'all have traditions that y'all keep and lay aside the Most High's commandments, but y'all have many other things that y'all do on a regular basis that's based on your own traditions. You understand that? So that's why Christ always was backing them up by pressing them, putting them on the spot, because they didn't care about the Most High's commandments, as in the Pharisees and the scribes. That's why he was always pressing them, always pressing them. You understand that? Good. So let's read on, man. Let's read on. Let's read on. Let's read on. Let's read on. Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? All right, cool. So see that Palm Sunday. That ain't got nothing to do with the Bible. All right? I'm going to show you something as well. I'm going to show you something. Easter is mentioned in the Bible once. Right? Easter is mentioned in the Bible once. Let me see. Let me show you something really quickly. Easter is only mentioned in the Bible one time in the book of Acts. Right? Look at this. Easter, and it's not mentioned as a high holy day. Look at this. Acts 12 and verse 4. It says what? Let me pull that up. Acts 12 and verse 4. It says, and when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. So guess what? This word Easter is actually a clerical error, right, by the translators. Because if you go back in the original scrolls, the word Pasak is there. Pasak, right? Pasak. Let me show you something. Let's go in the Blue Letter Bible really quickly. Let's go to the Blue Letter Bible so I can show you that same verse. Okay? Same verse of Acts 12 and 4. Acts 12 and verse 4. That's not in the original scrolls. Understand? Easter is definitely not a high holy day. It's not in the Bible. Let me pull this up for you guys really quickly. All right. Good. So we got, let me maximize this so y'all can see this properly. Okay, good. So you got Acts 12 and verse 4. All right. Let's bring up the tool so we can see the translation. Acts 12 and verse 4. Let's go to the interlinear. All right, let's come down. Let's go to that word Easter. See right here? Easter. Now look at this. What do you see over here? You see Easter. Let's look at it. Easter. And then you see what? You see what? Pasach. Right? Pashka. Or in the Hebrew is Pasach. You understand that? Let's go into that meaning. Let's see what that means. So we're going into the meaning of Pasach or Easter, right? So the original word that was in the scroll was Pasach. Because remember, the New Testament was translated from what? Greek, right? So we went into the Greek word of what the original word was, and it's Pashka, right? Now let's come down. It says of Aramaic origin. Let's come down. Now it says, look at this. The Paschal sacrifice, which was accustomed to be offered for the people's deliverance, right? The people's deliverance of old Egypt, okay? The Paschal lamb, the lamb that the Israelites were accustomed to slay and eat on the 14th day of the month of Nisan, the first month of the year. So this is talking about Passover. Look at this. Come down here. The Passover supper, the Paschal supper. Look at this. The Paschal feast, the feast of the Passover, extending from the 14th to the 20th day of the month of Nisan. So it's talking about Passover, not Easter. Everybody understands that? Does everybody get that? Good. So, let's just read on. Let's read on. Let's read on. Let us read on. Let's read on. Where are we at? Where are we? Okay, good. We come down. So now it says in Eastern Orthodox Christianity, Easter rituals start with the Great Lent, which begins on Clean Monday. What is that? Give me a second. I don't know where that is coming from. Where is that coming from? As these crowds grew, the capital meant suffered. So President Grant really used that plan. Yeah, sorry about that, family. I'm not sure where that video was. It was coming from the page that I had on, but I wasn't able to locate where on the page that was coming from. All right, so sorry about that, little technical difficulties. Let's get right back to it. Um, let me share this page with you guys really quickly. Okay, really quickly. Okay, good. So we're talking about the origins of Easter. Okay, the origins of Easter. Now let's read this. Now this is coming from the Scientific American Anthropology History page. Okay, the Scientific American Anthropology History page. Now it says Easter was originally the celebration of Ishtar. Now, does anybody know what Ishtar is? It says, watch this, of Ishtar, the Assyrian and Babylonian goddess of fertility, like we just read earlier, right? Fertility and sex. So Ishtar was an original celebration of Easter. Sorry, Easter was the original celebration of Ishtar. You understand that? Good. And it was the goddess of fertility and sex. Now, if you're going to be celebrating Easter, you must know the origins of Easter. Easter is pagan. It comes from the Babylonians. It has nothing to do with Christ. You're celebrating an idol. Okay? The Most High said you should not have any other gods before him. Because remember, it says the Babylonian goddess of fertility. That's where Easter comes from. Now it says her symbols, like the egg and the bunny, were and still are fertility and sex symbols, or did you actually think eggs and bunnies had anything to do with the resurrection? It says after Constantine decided to Christianize the empire. Now you know who Constantine was. Constantine, right? Emperor Constantine, the Roman emperor during the Roman Empire's reign in 320 AD. So it says after Constantine decided to Christianize the empire. Let me maximize this just a little bit. Good. So after Constantine decided to Christianize the empire, Easter was changed to represent Jesus. Wow, look at that. It says Easter was changed. Look at right here. Easter was changed to represent Jesus. But here's the thing, family. It don't matter if you try to change something into something, because number one, it started out as a what? A pagan ritual that was giving honor to a Babylonian god. You understand that? So that already started wrong. It's giving honor to a Babylonian goddess of fertility and sex. Imagine a sex goddess is really what you're celebrating when you celebrate Easter. So don't be out here talking about happy Easter, happy Easter. You're celebrating a Babylonian pagan goddess of sex and fertility. You understand that? It's a fake idol god you're celebrating. Okay? Now watch this. Now it says later it was changed. So now the Romans them, right, changed it to represent Jesus. But here's the thing. Number two, changing something to represent something else does not deny its origin of where it came from. You understand? It doesn't negate where it came from. So no matter how you try to change it, flip it, twist it, no matter how you slice it or dice it, it comes from a pagan ritual. You understand that? Good. So now it was changed to represent Jesus. Now, how many of y'all actually, when y'all was growing up, when they started talking about Easter in the church, you saw them representing Jesus as how the Bible describes him? You don't ever see that. So they're not even representing the Christ of the Bible. They're representing Cesare Borgia. You understand that? Cesare Borgia was the son of Pope Alexander VI. Let me show you this really quickly. All right, let me show you this really quickly. Look at this. When you type Cesare Borgia in Google Images, even Google Images knows who Cesare Borgia is. Look right here, Cesare Borgia. Okay? The Spanish conquistador, who is the son of Pope Alexander VI. Let's read a little bit over here. Look at this. Cesare Borgia. Now, look at all the paintings of Cesare Borgia. Look at him right here. That's Cesare Borgia. Fun fact, they even have a movie that was called The Borgias. If you check that out, it's on HBO. It was. I think it was back in 2011, somewhere around there. But anyway, good. So look at all these photos of Cesare Borgia. Don't you realize that these photos look starkly familiar to what you see being depicted in the Christian churches as Jesus Christ? Of course, because I'm going to show you something. Watch this. It says Cesare Borgia. Cesare Borgia was an Italian politician and condottiero whose fight for power was a major inspiration for the Prince by Machiavelli. He was an illegitimate son of Pope Alexander VI and member of the Spanish Aragonese House of Borgia. So he was Pope Alexander VI, as they call bastard son or illegitimate son, right? Now, this guy was a very mean guy. This guy, he killed his brother-in-law so he could sleep with his sister. He was a murderer. He was a pedophile. He was a rapist. You understand? And he also got his father to pay Leonardo da Vinci millions of dollars to paint his son, Cesare Borgia, as the image of Jesus Christ. So that's why today, when you go into Christian churches, you're going to see what? This guy, bingo! You're going to see this guy being represented as Jesus Christ, when actually this guy is Caesar Borgia or Cesare Borgia. You understand that? So this is not the image of Christ. When you go in the Bible, it says Christ's head and his ears were white like wool. Right? Let's read that. Let's read that really quickly. Let's read that really, really, really quickly, so you can understand that this ain't the Jesus Christ they're talking about. Revelation 1, okay, and 14. This ain't the Jesus they talking about, man. This ain't the Christ they talking about. Let's read this. Revelation 1 and 14 says, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow. and his eyes were a flame of fire. Guess what? When you go over to this image, this guy here ain't white as snow. So when they're talking about Happy Easter, and you see this guy, this ain't the Christ of the Bible. This is an idol, fake pagan worship image that they have up to deceive you, to fool you, to make you think that this is actually who you're honoring in Easter, when Easter has nothing to do with Yahweh Shai, because this ain't even Yahweh Shai. You understand that? That's that white boy they call Cesare Borgia. You understand that? Good. So now let's read on in Revelation. It says, his head and his ears were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. So they're showing you a physical description of what Yahweh Shai looked like. Let's read the next verse. Verse 15. It says, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. So if you take anything and you burn it in a furnace, what color is it going to turn, family? It's going to turn dark. Dark skin, black. So Christ was what color? Black. The Israelites were what color? Black. You understand that? They were black. You get that? All right. Good. So now that you understand that this guy is definitely not Yahweh Shai, he's not Jesus the Christ, but Cesare Borgia, look it up for yourself. Type in Google, look it right here, type in Google, Cesare Borgia. They're gonna bring up all the information on him. Look it right here. You're gonna see the Wikipedia page, and it's gonna give you all his background. So if they're telling you that Easter is about this guy, they're telling you Easter is about this guy, then tell yourself somebody's lying. Because we just read in the Bible where Christ is described as being a dark-skinned man, as if he had feet like unto fine brass, as if he burned in a furnace. So even though Israel, a lot of times you've heard these scriptures, you got to be able to link these scriptures back to reality. You've heard these scriptures a million times. You got to be able to link it back to reality. When you hear people talking about Happy Easter, is these simple precepts that's going to save you. Is these simple precepts that's going to make your remembrance come back to what you're supposed to remember in this truth. So nobody should be talking about no Happy Easter when you already know what the precepts say. Because a lot of people like to say, well, we heard that precept already. We heard that scripture already. Well, guess what? If you heard that scripture so many times, why is it your family members all here talking about Happy Easter? And you're like, yeah, Happy Easter to you too. Well, why you didn't try to correct them on that? That Easter is not in the Bible. We just showed you that that word Easter in the Bible, it was a clerical error. Actually, the original Greek is Pesach. And Pesach, it says, look it right here. It says the Pesach feast. In that very verse where we just pulled up in Acts, right? Chapter 12. It says the Pesach feast or the Passover. So the Bible is talking about the Passover, not Easter. You understand that? Good. So going back to Revelation 1 and 15, it shows you that Christ was black. It's not talking about this guy. Not this guy. Definitely not this guy. So if you imagine this guy in your head being on the cross, then you've been deceived. You've been a product of religion. You've been a product of believing in religion. You understand that? So get this guy out your head. As a matter of fact, when you type Yahweh Shai in Google Images, right? When you type Yahweh Shai, then you see a more accurate depiction of what Christ would look like. Let me look for that for you guys, man. Let me look for that. Now it says his head and his hair or white like wool, right? Okay, so look at this. This more fits the accurate description. Now, we're not saying this is Yahweh Shai, right? We're saying this is a more accurate representation of what the scriptures say. Because the scriptures said in Revelation 1 and 15, his feet was like undefined brass, right? As if he burned in a furnace. When you go to the previous verse, it says his head and his hairs were white like wool. So when you go to this image, we're not saying that this emphatically is him. This is just a rendering or a drawing or just a depiction. Okay? Now, when you bring this up, right? When you bring this up, let's bring this up. You can see it clearly right there. His head and his ears were white like wool. His eyes were like a flame of fire, red, right? And his feet was like undefined brass. So his feet is the same color as the rest of his body, right? As if he burned in a furnace. So he's talking about dark skin, as you could see right here. So this would be a more accurate representation of Christ, of Yahweh Shai. So why is it if they're celebrating Easter and they're saying that Easter is about Yahweh Shai, why are we not seeing this guy right here? Why are we not seeing a depiction of this guy in their churches? You know why? Because Christianity is pagan. It is a religion. It is man-made. Everybody understands that? Good. So it says Easter was changed to represent Jesus. I don't know which Jesus they're talking about. It was changed to represent. You understand? Not this guy here. Not this guy. I don't know how they're saying it was changed to represent him. Because obviously it was changed to represent him. This guy right here. That's who it was changed to represent. So any which way you want to slice it and dice it, Easter is still pagan. It still represents a false deity. Because this ain't Yahweh Shai. Everybody understand that? Good. Let's go back over here. Good. So now it was changed to represent Jesus. He says, but as its roots, Easter, which is now pronounced Ishtar, Easter, which is how you pronounce Ishtar, is all about celebrating fertility and sex. Now understand this. When you're going to say Happy Easter, when you're going to be like, oh yeah, Happy Easter to you too, understand the root of it. Understand what you're really celebrating. Understand that you're really actually celebrating happy fertility when you say Happy Easter. Happy fertility and happy sex. That's what you're celebrating. Because you're celebrating the goddess of those things. You understand that? Good. Let's read on a little bit more. Look at this. Ishtar was the goddess of love and war and sex, as well as protection, fate, childbirth, marriage, and storms. Now, here's the thing. The goddess of these things, that is a pagan idol god because it's the Most High that controls all these things. The Most High is who controls your protection, who controls your fate, who controls childbirth, who controls marriage, who controls storms. But here we're seeing that Ishtar was the goddess of those things. Now, Ishtar is a fake idol god. Now, let's see what the Bible says about idols, right? Let's see what the Bible says about idols, right? Pull that up really quickly. We're going to go to the book of the law, which is the first 5 books, right? The law. How should I say we got to keep the law? Now look what the law says. It says Leviticus 19 and verse 4. Turn ye not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten gods. I am the Lord your God. So the Most High told us specifically, do not turn to idols. When you're going to say Happy Easter, right? And talk about, oh yeah, you too, same to you. Just understand that you're celebrating what? Ishtar, the goddess of what? Love and war and sex. But the Most I said it right here in Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 4. It says, turn ye not to idols. Don't turn to any idols. As a matter of fact, remember, this came from who? The Babylonians. This was the Babylonian goddess of war and sex. Look what the Most High said. Just like any other tradition that's not in the Bible, the Most High said, guess what? Do not turn to the ways of the heathen. Let's go to that really quickly. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 10. Let's read that. All right, Jeremiah chapter 10. Ready? Let's read. Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 1. It says, hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. So this is talking to the Israelites. It says, thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. You see that? So these are vain customs. When you're going to be talking about Happy Easter, it's a vain custom because guess what? Ishtar was the goddess of what? Love and war and sex. When we know the Most High is the one who's in control of those things. So it says Ishtar's symbols were the lion, the morning star, and the 8 or 16 pointed stars. Again, symbols of power, right? So this the word Easter does not appear to be derived from Ishtar, but no, like I told you, some claim that the word Easter was derived from Ishtar, but some claim that it doesn't, right? So it says, but from the German Eostre, right? The goddess of the dawn, okay? The bringer of light, right? So now the Most High is the one who brings the light. He said, I form the light, right? Let's bring that out. That's Isaiah chapter 45, right? Let's bring that out. Let's bring that out. Isaiah 45 and verse 7. This is what the Most High says right here. Let's read. Isaiah 45 and verse 7. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So the Most High is the one who creates the light. So the goddess of Ishtar, that says it's the goddess of the dawn or the bringer of light. That's a fake idol god. So none of you should be saying Happy Easter. When you're saying Happy Easter, you're giving acknowledgement to a fake idol god. You're making the Most High upset with that because he said already in Leviticus 19 and verse 4, turn ye not unto idols. But you must understand the origin of Easter in order for you to know it's an idol. Okay? In order to know it's from an idol. Now, what I'm going to do right now is talking about the Egyptians that they believe in eggs and, the sun god hatching the eggs, and Hinduism has a connection to it as well. What I'm going to do, I'm going to share a video. All right, I'm going to share a video. So that we can get a concise kind of overview of the origin of Easter. All right? Let's get a concise overview. So let me just really quickly get ready. Let me add this really quickly. Okay. Can you guys see the video? Let me know if you guys can see the video. Okay, we're gonna watch a quick video really quickly. All right. Let me know if you can see the video on the screen. I paused it for the time being. But let me know if you can actually, you can see it. Can you see the video? Okay, good. All praises to the Most High. Good. Let me know if you can hear the video as well. You guys can hear the sound in the video? Let me know if you can hear the sound in the video. But you can hear the sound in the video? I think some of you guys may be looking at this not in the right time frame. You could always exit out the video, come back in, because you may be looking at the video a couple minutes before, right? So if you think you're watching the video a couple minutes before, you could just exit out the video, go back into the link again, all right? So you could be, where we at in the correct timeline of the video, all right? Cool. So if at any point you cannot hear the video, you let me know, all right? Cool.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe now to get the latest ancient history news and independent research from around the world. Today is Easter Sunday, and whilst the Christians of the world are celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ, Christians and non-Christians alike will no doubt be feasting on chocolate eggs.
Now, isn't it funny to note that he just mixed in Christianity with eggs, when we just earlier showed you that these two things have nothing to do together? You understand? Now, the Jesus Christ that they were trying to say has something to do with Easter, we already showed you that who they're talking about. They're talking about who? They're talking about this guy right here. This guy right here. So this guy right here has nothing to do with the Bible. It has nothing to do with the Passover. Okay, what we're supposed to be celebrating. But the Romans try to infuse this guy into Easter, the pagan tradition of Easter. You understand that? That's why they're talking about Easter eggs. And because remember, the goddess of fertility, right, is represented by eggs. That's where they get the Easter eggs from. You understand that? Let's continue to the video.
The rebirth of Jesus and the consumption of chocolate eggs are certainly not linked with regard to their origins, and historians...
You hear what he said? The rebirth of, let me carry it back. He said the rebirth of Jesus and chocolate eggs are not linked. They're not linked. It's showing you right there. They're not linked.
Christians alike will no doubt be feasting on chocolate eggs. The rebirth of Jesus and the consumption of chocolate...
And what did we say? Didn't we say that Easter, celebrating a white Jesus that's not represented in the Bible? We just read over here, right? We just read over here. This is Caesar Borgia. You understand? Yahushua in the Hebrew, right, looked like this guy. White woolly hair, skin like burnt brass. You understand that? So that image that they think represents Jesus, that's not Jesus. So Easter is a whole lie. Let's continue.
Certainly not linked with regard to their origins, and historians and biblical scholars alike will universally admit that before ever becoming a Christian holiday, Easter is undoubtedly a pagan festival.
Now he says the scholars and historians admit that even before Easter was a thing, a Christian thing, it was celebrated as a pagan origin holiday. Wow, imagine that. The scholars agree with that. The historians agree with that. But a lot of silly, ignorant Christians today, they don't want to believe in actual history and what the scholars have actually proven where these origins of Easter come from. Let's get into it.
This can be seen by the fact that the date of the Easter weekend changes every year, and it is due to Easter always being the first Sunday following the full moon after the spring equinox. Unlike the word Christmas, the word Easter also has pagan roots, and history books can trace it back to the Saxons, where Easter was the spring goddess.
You see that? Easter was the spring goddess. We read that. Easter. That's where the word Easter comes from, because it comes from an Anglo-Saxon pagan goddess called Easter. That's where Easter comes from. Let's go on.
It wasn't until the 8th century when the Anglo-Saxons took the name from the goddess and married her up with the resurrection of Jesus to give a new name to a Christian holiday.
Wow, so they took the goddess, right, of Easter or Easter, which is from the word Easter, and they combined it, right, with the Roman tradition called Easter. That's very important to note and understand that they combined it, which means it shows you they have nothing to do with one another. Let's continue.
But of course, Easter as a celebration goes back much further than the Saxons. And so
Wow, so Easter is a celebration that goes way back before the Anglo-Saxons. Now it's going to show you something here with this this representation of the goddess called Ishtar. Watch this.
some say it even goes as far back as the Sumerians, and the legend of Dumuzi or Tammuz to the Babylonians, and
Now we just mentioned Tammuz. Tammuz from the Babylonians. Now, Tammuz took on a lot of different forms. At Christmas, they celebrate Tammuz, right? Because in the Bible, it doesn't celebrate Christmas, right? Now, Tammuz took on a lot of different forms. It says it even goes back to the ancient pagan god Tammuz as well. Wow. Fun fact. Let's continue.
Ishtar or Inanna. The legend known as the Descent of Inanna was found inscribed on a 4,100-year-old clay tablet. As Tammuz dies, Ishtar follows him into the underworld, where she gets judged, killed, and is hung on display. Meanwhile, the earth goes into decline with...
So understand that this is talking about Babylonian mythology. Okay? Babylonian mythology. It says, when Tammuz died, Ishtar followed her into the underworld. You hear that? Let me carry it back so you can hear. This is talking about Babylonian mythology. In other words, Babylonian myths. It's mythological. It ain't real. This is just something that the Babylonians made up to worship their deities, their gods. You understand that?
or Inanna. The legend known as the Descent of Inanna was found inscribed on a 4,100-year-old clay tablet. As Tammuz dies, Ishtar follows him into the underworld, where she gets judged, killed, and is hung on display. Meanwhile, the earth goes into decline, with crops failing and animals stop reproducing. After being missing for 3 days, the god Enki sends 2 creatures into the underworld, carrying the plant and water of life, and the 2 gods are resurrected. They return to Earth as the light of the sun for 6 months, and 6 months later they go back into the underworld again and stay for a further 6 months. Hence we see the cycle of death in the autumn and life in spring, all of which of course are connected to sun worship.
So let's say all of these Babylonian rituals go back to sun worship, because the Babylonians, they worship the sun. You understand that? And they worship the sun as one of their gods. But understand this, the Babylonians also had many other gods. You understand that?
As you can see, like the story of Noah's flood, the Christian story of Jesus has borrowed a lot from the Sumerian legends.
No, it's saying that the Christian stories of the Bible borrow stories from the Sumerians, but the Babylonians had their own Babylonian mythology. You understand that? That ain't had nothing to do with the Bible. It was the Romans who tried to combine these Babylonian myths with the Bible. Because remember, the Bible was a book that's given to who? The Hebrew Israelites, not all nations. But the Romans came and tried to take the things that were written for the Hebrew Israelites and try to marry them or combine them with their own pagan traditions. You get that?
Whether Jesus was a real person or not is open to debate and is not for this video, but there is
No, he's saying whether or not Yahushua was a real person is open for debate. But guess what? There were many eyewitness accounts that Yahushua walked the earth. There were many persons who scribed and wrote down at the time of his ministry. They wrote it down. Many eyewitness accounts. So because a historian doesn't believe, doesn't mean that Yahushua didn't walk the earth. You understand that? Let's read on. Let's continue on with the video.
no doubt that the story of Jesus was embellished with far more ancient mythology to keep the ancient knowledge alive and to encode the wisdom into the New Testament for future generations.
Ain't wrong, because when it talks about what happened in 70 AD, right, when General Vespasian went into Jerusalem, that actually happened in history. So that's non-debatable. You understand that? When the Gentiles downtrodden Jerusalem in 70 AD, that's actually a historical account. Let me bring that up. I just want to sidetrack this for a little bit. All right? Just for a little bit. 70 AD was a real life event, fam. Look at right here. Just type that in Google. It's going to bring it up. Look at this. 70 AD was what? The siege of Jerusalem. Let me show you this real quick. Look at this. 70 AD. Boom. Right there. Siege of Jerusalem. Let me bring that over so you can read that. Look at this. 70 AD was the siege of Jerusalem, right? In the year 70 CE or the year 70 AD, same thing, was the decisive event of the first Jewish-Roman war, which the Roman army captured the city of Jerusalem and destroyed both city and its temple. So guess what? Yahushua predicted that would happen. I'm going to bring that out for you, man. Let's bring that out. Matthew 24 and verse 16. Let's start from, look at this, because remember, Daniel spoke of this as well, and Yahushua just re-quoted that. Look at this. Look at this really quickly. People who talking about the Bible ain't real. Look at right here. Look at this. It says, Matthew 24 and verse 15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place. So Daniel spoke of this desolation that was coming. Daniel spoke of this right here, the siege of Jerusalem. Now Yahushua also reiterated it. Let's read on. It says, spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place. Let's read on. Let's read. Verse 16 says, then let them which be in Judea flee to the mountains. Okay, let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything of his house. So this is talking about the siege of Jerusalem. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Because Yahushua was predicting what Daniel also, or he was just reiterating what Daniel already predicted. You understand that? But pray that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Right? For then shall great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor shall ever be. So he was just reiterating what Daniel had prophesied right here, the siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD. And guess what? In the siege of Jerusalem, many of the Israelites that were in Judea, they fled to the mountains just as Yahushua told them to. They went to the mountains. That's how we were able to blend in Africa. But I don't want to get sidetracked. That's for another class. Okay, that's for another class. But that's how they was able to blend in Africa. And that's when we got sold out to the Hamites a couple hundred years after that, because they realized we're not the same people. Sold us out to the Ishmaelites as well as to the Edomites, who are the Caucasians. But I digress. Let's continue. Because the historian was saying the Bible's authenticity could be debated. There's no debate in that. Okay? Because the Bible lines up with this. You understand that? It lines up with this. Actual historical accounts of what happened. Okay? But you got to know history. You got to be able to link it to the Bible, family. Understand that? Good. Let's go back to watch this.
The Bible is certainly a carefully crafted work of art. As AncientOrigins.net reports in their great new article on Easter, linked below in the description, in the 4th century when Christians identified the exact location of the empty tomb of Jesus in Jerusalem, they selected a spot where a temple of Aphrodite, another god based on Ishtar or Inanna, once stood. Like with most churches and cathedrals around the world, the former pagan temple was torn down, and in this case the Church of the Holy Sepulchre was built in its place. But of course, as many of you know, there are many more stories of death and resurrection in the ancient world, such as the story of Horus in ancient Egypt, Mithras, Dionysus, etc.
Yeah, but what they gotta understand is that a lot of those Egyptian stories, they plagiarized the Bible. You understand that? So, they're trying to, talk about the Bible's authenticity. But let's talk about how a lot of other religions ripped off and plagiarized the Bible. You understand that? Because the Bible goes way back even to 7 BCE. Know your history.
All such legends have common elements and are all associated with sun worship, and many were incorporated into the New Testament, which really isn't unsurprising when you look at the formation of the Holy Roman.
Many were incorporated into the New Testament by the Romans, because the Romans took control of the Hebrew Israelites book, which is the Bible, which was written to the Israelites. As a matter of fact, let's get that scripture really quickly, man. Let's go Psalms 147 really quickly, because this is what you got to understand. This Bible was not given to anybody else. That's why people get tripped up, because other nations taking the book and trying to put their own spin on it and trying to, say that they're mixing their traditions with the Bible. You understand? You're not supposed to mix the Bible with any other book. Let's read this. Psalms 147 and verse 19. Ready? Let's read. It says, Psalms 147 and verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. So this book, this Bible, these scrolls, was only given to Jacob, which is what? The 12 tribes of Israel. Okay? This book, this Bible, only to the Hebrew Israelites. Let's read on. Verse 20. It says, he hath not dealt so with any nation. So the Most High has not dealt so with any nation. He has not given this Bible to any other nation other than the Israelites. You understand that? You're not supposed to combine this book with anything else. Right? Let me show you that. Let me show you that. Isaiah 34 and verse 16. Look at this. Isaiah 34 and verse 16 says, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. Right? So this book is not supposed to be paired with any other book, any other teachings, any other, unless it supports it, of course, unless it goes along with it, unless it backs it up, unless it validates it. You understand that? Unless it corroborates it. But there's a lot of things that happen in history that corroborates what the Bible is talking about. You understand? But it's talking about other doctrines. You can't be mixing Egyptology with the Bible. You can't be mixing Mormonism with the Bible. You can't even mix Christianity with the Bible because the Bible is not a Christian book. The Bible is a book for the Hebrew Israelites. Everybody understand that? Praises. Let's continue on.
Roman Empire and the adoption of Christianity by the emperor. In ancient times, the Cybele cult flourished on today's Vatican Hill. Cybele's lover, Attis, was born of a virgin, died and was reborn annually. The spring festival began as a day of blood on Black Friday, rising to a crescendo after 3 days in rejoice over the resurrection. In the early days of Christianity, there were violent conflicts between this cult and early Christians over whose God was true, when the fact is that both stories are actually the same. In the New Testament, the death and resurrection of Jesus.
You see that? See, look at that. White Jesus. Straight up and down, white Jesus. So I tell you, Easter is a false pagan worship ritual, man. You understand that? Because everything surrounding Christianity involves, look at that. I heard somebody say, if this is what heaven looks like, they ain't want to be there. Because look at this. What are you seeing there? All white people. Where the Israelites at? Where the real Israelites at? They ain't there. What are they trying to tell you?
This is another symbolic story about the rebirth of the sun, and surely wasn't a literal event. But not all historians agree that Ishtar is the origins of Easter, because there is another spring goddess known by the names of Oster, Ostara, Austra, and Istra. This goddess was celebrated on the spring equinox of March 21st as the bringer of light after winter. But in actual fact, it is very likely that all of these gods originate from Ishtar.
So understand this. Remember, the Babylonians had many gods. Ishtar and Eostar is just one of them. So even if there were separate gods in themselves, understand this. The Babylonians, they even worship the sun. They go back to sun worship. Everybody understand that?
The goddess was often depicted as a hare, and therefore the modern day Easter.
So now you get into that real part now. It says the goddess was depicted as a bunny. A bunny. So that's where they get bunnies from in Easter, because the goddess Ishtar was represented as a bunny. So now you get where the bunny comes from. Now you get it.
The bunny was symbolic for the arrival of spring, as well as the fertility of the season.
So the bunny was symbolic for when spring arrived, all right, for when new season came about, right? So it represented fertility as well as new beginnings, the bunny.
As well as being a goddess, Ostra is apparently an ancient word that means spring, and has been adopted and adapted by many European languages and used ever since. Therefore, what this shows is that the true origins of Easter include a number of different customs and traditions from a number of different civilizations from different periods of time. It is a composite and truly pagan festival centred on the rebirth of the sun after the cold winter has passed. This is a timeless festival and has always been of high importance to most civilizations because it means that humans can once again cultivate crops as the earth warms up. So, why are we all eating chocolate eggs this weekend, and feeling sick and falling asleep on the sofa in front of an old James Bond movie?
So wow, see that? The eggs, the bunny, all of these things came from modern day Christianity, which is why we always say modern Christianity does not keep God's commandments, because what they do is traditions. They rather lay aside the traditions, they rather lay aside the commandments to take up their traditions, man. Let's read this really quickly. Look at this, Matthew 15:3 again. It says, but he answered and said unto them, why do ye also transgress the commandment of God? In other words, why are you not keeping Passover just so you can keep your own tradition? Why are you not keeping the Passover so you could go and celebrate Easter? Why are you out here going to fly kite and eat saltfish and conky? Because those things are traditions. Those things are not in the Bible. Now, I'm not saying it's against the law to eat a conky unless conky has the unclean foods. But what I'm saying is usually around that time, you're in the spirit of celebrating Easter by doing the things that in the Caribbean is associated with Easter. In the Caribbean, they like to eat conky and eat saltfish and eat dumpling and fly kite. That's associated with Easter. But guess what? Around this time, you're supposed to be celebrating the Passover. You understand that? Because when you read in the New Testament, it shows you right here. That word Easter actually comes from the word Pesach, which means the Pesach feast, the feast of the Passover. Look it right here. Bring it up big so you guys can see that properly. Look it right here. It says the Paschal feast, the feast of the Passover. You understand? So there's no Easter in the Bible. You get that? So God's commandment is what? The Passover. As a matter of fact, let's go to where in the law it says you're going to keep that throughout your generations. Look at this. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12. And let's come down to, look at this. The Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Passover. It says, and ye shall, this is Exodus 12 and verse 17, and ye shall observe the Feast of Unleavened Bread, for this self-same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore ye shall observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. Forever. You understand that? Good. Now watch this. Look at this. Let's come up to verse 13. Look at this. Verse 14 rather. This is talking about the Passover. It says, Exodus 12 and verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast unto the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. So you're supposed to be doing the Passover, not no Easter. You understand that? Yahweh Shai said he ain't come to destroy the law. You understand that? Let's read that. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 17. We just read that out of the book of the law. This is very important to go back to these precepts. Christ said it right here. It says, Matthew 5 and verse 17, think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. So the law that we just read about keeping the Passover, Christ said he did not come to destroy that. He said, or the prophets, I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. But a lot of people would see that and think, oh, nah. See, he came to fulfill, right? He came to fulfill. But that's not talking about fulfill the law as if he came to done away with the law. Fulfill means that he came to show us, one, how to keep the law, as well as two, he came to fulfill the things written in the law concerning him. Now let's come down to Luke chapter 24 and verse 44 to show you that this is what it's talking about. Luke 24 and verse 44. Let's read. Luke 24 and 44 says, and he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you, while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses and in the prophets and in the Psalms concerning me. So the things that he fulfilled were the things concerning him, that he would what? One, he would come and show us how to keep the law, and then two, he would be a sacrifice for his people, okay, for the transgressions of the Israelites' sins. So no, this is not talking about he came to do away with the law. He said he didn't come to destroy the law, but to fulfill. We just showed you over here, line upon line, precept upon precept, what he came to fulfill. He said he came to fulfill the things concerning him. Good. It even gets better. Let's read on, because Christians like to stop right there. No. Let's continue and see what it says. It says, Matthew 5 and 18, for verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. So one jot or one tittle cannot pass from the law, meaning not a full stop, not a comma, not an apostrophe, cannot pass from the law. It gets even better. Watch this. Verse 19. It says, whosoever therefore shall break uno, one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven, but whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So that refers also to what? The Passover, right? So when you read Exodus, right, chapter 12, it says we're going to keep the Passover as a feast, what? Forever. Forever. You understand that? Good. So let's go back to this video.
Okay, that was my own Easter tradition growing up, but as you may have guessed, in ancient spring worship customs, the egg was associated with rebirth, renewal, and fertility. But why does a hare or Easter bunny give out eggs? Well, in Germanic mythology, the goddess Ostara healed a wounded bird before turning it into a hare.
See that? It's Germanic astrology, Germanic traditions, Germanic mythology. You understand that? It's just talking about fake magical stories. That's what mythology is. Fake magical stories.
The hare, still partially a bird, showed its gratitude by laying eggs as gifts. But even this Germanic pagan tradition goes back much further into antiquity, as even in ancient Egypt the egg was found to symbolise the sun. Going back to the Babylonian Ishtar, the goddess who is one and the same as the Sumerian goddess Inanna, and who all later spring goddesses were likely modelled on, she was the goddess of fertility, and her symbols were the rabbit or hare, and also the egg.
So understand that when you're saying Happy Easter and talking about you carrying children to celebrate Easter egg hunting, you're actually giving honor to the deity Ishtar, which is represented by the bunny and eggs. Okay? That's what you're doing. You're giving honor to a fake, idol, pagan god. So understand what you're doing before you do it.
So, when you're eating your Easter eggs this weekend, remember that the origins of this tradition go back many thousands of years. Maybe not chocolate eggs, but eggs nonetheless. As stated in AncientOrigin.net's fantastic article, the first reference of the Easter Bunny comes from a German text from 1572, which says, "Do not worry if the Easter Bunny escapes you. Should we miss his eggs, we will cook the nest." The egg-giving tradition, some of the finer details of the goddess myths, as well as the actual day when Easter Sunday is celebrated, were all incorporated into the Christian tradition and associated with Jesus by the Council of...
It was associated with Jesus, but we know which Jesus it was associated with. White Jesus. So that's totally off to begin with.
Nicaea. What I find most amazing is that the ancient traditions of our ancestors and the pagan symbolism have lived on. I wish you all a happy Easter and thank you very much.
Oh, so even though this Edomite guy is clearly going into the origin of Easter and showing you how pagan it is, at the end of it, he still say happy Easter. This is why the Most High said this in Malachi chapter 1, right? And verse 3. Let's bring that out. Look at this. Malachi 1 and verse 3. Let's read this. Let me say it in his accent. Let us read this so we can read the fate of Esau. I didn't do it too well. But anyway, let's read this. Malachi 1 and 3. Now we're going to read this and see what the Bible says about Esau. It says Malachi 1 and 3. And I hated Esau. Esau is talking about the modern day white man, the modern day Caucasians, because Esau and Jacob were twin brothers in the womb. You already know the story. One came out red and hairy all over. His name was Esau. So Esau is talking about the white man. Good. So it says, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Let's read on. Verse 4. Whereas Edom, which is Esau, said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus said the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall call them, let's maximize this a little bigger so you can see. And they shall call them the border of wickedness. So what did the Most High call the Edomites? Esau? The border of wickedness. That's why at the end of the video, he's talking about, oh, happy Easter, everybody, and go and celebrate the nice Easter, even though he just went into the origin, how wicked of a pagan idol deity you're celebrating when you celebrate Easter. At the end of it, he talk about, happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter. Go and celebrate your nice Easter with your nice chocolate eggs and your... You see what I'm talking about? That's why the Most High could name them the border of wickedness. In other words, they're the epitome of wickedness, right? The border of wickedness. They're everything wicked. No, let's read on. It says, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever, because they were the ones who gave you religion. They were the ones that gave you Easter and Christmas and all these pagan rituals that's not in the Bible. They changed the Sabbath day from the seventh day to the first day. They did that. Edom, Esau, the white man. So that's why God said, they're the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. And if you know that word indignation, you know what that word means? It means hatred. You understand that? So it's the people who God hates forever. Because what did God say in Romans 9 and verse 13? This is what he said about the people that gave you Easter. Romans 9 and 13. You hear it all the time, but now it's showing you and connecting the dots why he hate these people, man. Look at this. Romans 9 and verse 13. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Because guess what? Esau was the ones who gave y'all what? Gave y'all Easter. They gave y'all religion. The Romans came and changed up they tried to put things in the Bible that's not there. You understand that? As a matter of fact, they tried to say that, you know, when you get the Easter, what you call it, Good Friday, right? Today in the world, let's celebrate what you call Good Friday, right? And then they say Good Friday to what? Easter. Somebody help me out here if I'm not mistaken. They're trying to say Easter Friday to Easter Sunday is 3 days and 3 nights, right? But here's the thing. Good Friday to what they call Easter Sunday, that ain't 3 days and 3 nights. What is that? That's actually what? So you count, if you count from Friday morning, right, to Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, right? So if it's 3 days and 3 nights, you're not going to get from Friday to Sunday. You understand that? So even that in itself is a farce. The Romans really, really, really tried it. You understand? Because the Most High said evening and morning was the first day, right? So you ain't getting a full day out of those days that they're trying to say is 3 days and 3 nights, right? Let's read this. Look at this. Genesis 1, chapter 5. It says, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and morning were the first day. You understand that? The evening and the morning. That's why a whole day is what? From sundown to sundown. That's a whole day, right? So what they're trying to say is that, right. Sister Zariah said, they said Christ died on Good Friday and then rose on Easter Sunday. How many days is that, Sister Zariah? from their calculations. From their calculations. What are they trying to say based on their calculations? They're trying to say that's 3 days and 3 nights, right? Let me go to a scripture really quickly. Let me go to Mark 16 and verse 9. Let me go to Mark 16 and verse 9. Let me go to Mark 16 and verse 9. Mark 16 and verse 9. Let's look at this. So now, Mark 16 and verse 9 says, now when Jesus was risen early, the first day of the week. What's the first day of the week, man? Can anybody tell me what's the first day of the week? If the seventh day, right, is the Sabbath day, the first day of the week is when? That would be when? That would be sundown Saturday, right? The sundown Sunday. That's the first day, right? So now they're trying to say that from, like Sister Zariah said, that Christ died on Good Friday and then rose Easter Sunday. But that calculation is off, man. You understand that? That calculation is off. Evening and morning is one day. So their calculations is totally off. You understand? How many days they get to know to that, Sister Zariah? How many days they get to know to that? If you were to go by their calculations. Going by their calculations, what would they really get? If they're saying that he died on Good Friday, but then he rose on Easter Sunday. Is that 3 days, 3 nights? What would that be? The calculations would be all the way off. You can't get 3 days, 3 nights from Friday to Sunday. You understand that? You can't. Your calculation would be totally off. You understand what I'm saying? So the whole fallacy, right? That's 2 days, right? So the whole fallacy of this whole Easter pagan tradition, right, is rooted in traditions, man. It's rooted in Roman traditions and what they superimposed on the Bible. You understand that? So that's basically what it is. Let me see if there was anything to finish on that video.
Watching. I've just launched a new YouTube channel.
Yeah, that was it on that. He ain't saying nothing else. He ain't saying nothing else. All right. So, yeah. Any questions? If you got any questions, I'll take those questions right now. All right. Shoot your shot really quickly. Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. Shoot your questions. Shoot your biblical shot. Ask your questions if you got questions. All right. I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Just go back over this video if you want to know the origins of Easter and the Babylonian god that it came from, and understand why it's pagan, and understand that it's not in the Bible. And when your family and your co-workers talking about Happy Easter, you could tell them, hey, listen, that's not in the Bible, and you could break it down for them. You could tell them, listen, Easter came from the Babylonian goddess of fertility called Ishtar. That's represented by a bunny and eggs, right? Bunnies don't even lay eggs. Let them know straight up, it's not real. It's not reality. Bunnies don't lay eggs. It's a pagan ritual. You understand? And the Most High said, you should not have what? Any idols. Don't have any idols. Where did we read that? We read that, right? In what? Leviticus 19:4. Don't have any idols. It says, turn ye not unto idols. You understand that? Turn ye not unto idols. So I want to thank everyone for coming out, listening to the live. Yo, I was going to go into the, the breakdown of this guy that's talking about 3 days of darkness, man. That's it's a funny video. I laughed when I saw that video. They're sending out this video on WhatsApp. If y'all want me to do a response video to it, y'all want me to do a live reaction video to it, let me know. I would do it, but I would do it on the TOC inside reviews page. You understand? So let me know if y'all want to get that live reaction video. Y'all would have to head on over to the TOC inside reviews page. I will do it right after I end this. But let me know if y'all want to see that tonight. Let me know. If you don't want to see it tonight, then I guess I'll scrap it and do it another time. Right? I really had planned to do it, right? Because I didn't intend to be on here that long, but we had some things to get into. But I mean, the night's still young, right? The night's still young. It's like after 10, right? What better thing could you be doing but getting into the scripts on the Sabbath, right? It's a beautiful thing, right? To be in the spirit on the Sabbath, right? So if y'all want me to do that live reaction to that video that's been circulating, right? Talking about 3 days of darkness, because I looked at it last night. It's like a 12-minute video. It's not a long video. But if y'all want me to do it, I would do it for y'all because Cap love y'all, and I would do it if y'all want me to, right? But if y'all ain't with it, then I'm gonna just say shalom. I'm gonna say all praises to the Most High. I'm gonna say happy Sabbath. I'm gonna say stay in the spirit. I'm gonna say continue keeping the commandments, continue keeping the Most High's laws, right? So all praises to the Most High. So this is your brother Captain Messiah. Don't turn yourselves unto any idols. Stay in the spirit. All praises. Shalom.